Let's try to explain product management in just 2 to 3 minutes. Hi, I'm Laura, a PM working in tech, and on my channel I cover my life working as a PM, my life working in tech, and other computer science related advice. I think that there are 3 main areas that a product manager has to cover, which are customer development, feature design, and overall roadmap and vision. First is going to be customer development. You really need to understand and work with your customers or users of your product to understand the problems that they're facing, why they're facing them, how often they're facing them, and be able to understand in terms of priorities what the biggest problem to solve at any given point should be. Once you feel like you understand the problem fairly well, you can then dive into creating hypotheses to tackle each of these problem areas. Once your hypotheses are in tow, you can then gather both qualitative and quantitative data to help prove or disprove your hypotheses and give you a good solid base moving forward onto feature design. For where you get this data, it can look like your typical data analysis, so just pulling in data from SQL, for example. If you already have telemetry from your product, that can give you insights onto what your users are doing. Or you can conduct a handful of individual customer interviews to really dive into each person's use case and understand where they may be coming from. Or this last major category is just experimentation, where you run different experiments to see how they affect the outcomes for the users. This can take the form of simply emailing them and reminding them of something and seeing how often they take action after the email, or running your own A/B tests where you change something about the feature or product and see what the outcomes in the user telemetry look like. With respect to these different data sources, you often want to incorporate all 3 of these as possible, or use as many as you can in the time span that you've been given. The next step is going to be feature design. Feature design really comes down to how are you going to solve this particular problem that you've outlined, and also how does it align with the hypothesis that you've either validated or invalidated, and the data that you've gathered so far with respect to all these things. I think this is what a lot of people would deem the most fun part of being a PM, because you get to design different solutions and be creative, and also spend the time to collaborate with other people to get a better sense of what they think the right step should be, and what the technical feasibilities and limitations look like. If you're a PM at a larger company, you'll probably also have an associated design team to help work with you, come up with different mockups, and avenues for which you can go ahead and explore different UX options. The third and last major responsibility area is the roadmap or vision for your product. The roadmap or vision just comes down to where is your product going in the future. You can frame this in a sense of what features and things you want to add to your product, but it may be more beneficial and intuitive to frame it from the sense of what do customers need and what are their current problems and how are you going to address them moving forward. However, if you work on a team of PMs, then you really just be the subject matter expert for a subset of customer problems and own that space and the ideas for how you're going to solve these problems moving forward. I just wanted to cap off this brief introduction with also things that product managers are not. Product managers are not people managers, and they also do not manage the engineers themselves. Engineers have their own engineering manager that is more in charge of the technical side of things and engineering resourcing. 2 is that PMs are not entirely engineers in the sense that they're not actively coding, and they're also not designers in the sense that they're not actively pushing out prototypes and mockups for all of their job. 3rd is that there's a lot of uncertainty around the PM role because it just is uncertain. There's not a clear defined aspect of what a PM does, and what you do as a product manager from one company to another can look dramatically different. That's a brief few-minute summary of what product management is and also what to expect if you're interested in product management. As always, feel free to schedule a coffee chat with me at aka.mis/chat-with-Laura or join the conversation on my Discord channel, linked in the description box down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for a brand new video. Bye.